Mother uses dad's death to finally abandon me. I 26F, was adopted at an early age along with a handful of my other siblings. My parents only had 2 biological sons and adopted the rest of us. Even early on, my sisters and I could tell the huge difference between our treatment from our mother and the treatment she gave her sons, biological and non-biological. Because of this treatment, I have always been closer to my dad. He didn't just yell and tear us down. He showed us love and not bitterness. Over the years, my dad grew ill, and my mother would always make these comments like, "God forbid something happens to him. I'm not getting remarried. I've never just had my life to myself. I married too young." Pretty much the source of the bitterness would come out when she would talk like that. When my dad was diagnosed with congested heart failure in 2018, I knew I only had a number of years with him. Although I'm one of the youngest and I stayed the furthest away, between 4 to 8 hours, I made it a point to focus on positive memories with him and my mother. Coming home on the weekends, taking time off work to plan trips for us to take, getting us all tickets to ball games. Just us having fun. There were times I would disagree with my dad because he was an older male with boomer tendencies, but at the end of the day, petty disagreements wouldn't matter to me. Whenever my husband and I would come home and take my parents to Topgolf or to dinner, it was always my mother saying I shouldn't be doing this and would say because I shouldn't strain myself or put ourselves in a difficult financial situation. My husband and I never did. And to us, family is super important, and it was always easy to take the family to the aquarium because we knew they'd have fun. But she would always push back on me spending money on them, and it would seem she would have to force herself to enjoy it. However, if one of her sons were possessed enough to come home and do something for them, she'd have to brag to the whole town how great her kids were. In October of 2023, I told Dad I was going to get us, me and hubby, Dad, and Mom, tickets for the GA/FL game for his 60th birthday. The largest cocktail party of the year, I think it is called. He got so excited. Major GA fan. He literally screamed with joy. It was a great sight to see. Then my mother sunk her teeth into him when we were around and somehow took all the fun out of it, telling him it would be too much of a financial burden on me and my husband. This was false. And then my dad calls a day or two later and I can hear the sadness in his voice saying we should not buy the tickets and please don't buy the tickets, and he would just prefer to watch on TV. And I told him it was genuinely no problem. Then he told me that my mother had talked to him and she was making sense that it's too much to spend on tickets. I was devastated that she did that, not speaking with me, and just took experience I wanted my dad to have. 2 months later he passed away. I went to the house to help out my mother for the next couple weeks. The treatment of the daughters were the same. We could tell we were not wanted around. And because she has always treated the boys with tender love and care, they'd never understand why our relationship with mother is much different from there. Shortly after the funeral, she stopped talking to me. Even told the other siblings that I was angry with her and not talking to her. Lies. Although our relationship was me always seeking validation from her and only getting disappointment from her, I still valued family and tried to keep it close. I had been messaging her for over a month and a half to no response from her. I had been planning a vow renewal with my husband, and because she has not been responding to me, I sent her a message not expecting one back asking if she would like to be put on the guest list. She replied back saying she didn't need to be on the guest list. I replied saying if she changes her mind she will have a spot on the list. She goes to tell her sons that I didn't want to invite her and she only said no to me for me. Whole load of BS. The distress of that situation contributed to one of the worst asthma attacks I've had in my life just a couple days later. My lungs collapsed and I had to be put on ventilator for a week. I didn't receive not a single call or text from her. April 9th, 2024 was the day I was supposed to die according to the doctor. The entire family, extended included, knew of my situation, and my husband got calls and text from cousins, aunts, etc. My eldest brother or mother didn't bother. I couldn't believe even on my deathbed I did not matter enough to her. I usually keep to myself and never voice my opinion to family to avoid friction, but I had just survived something I wasn't supposed to. My eldest brother, 31M, said I hurt his feelings for calling him out like that, and he was upset because it took my husband 2 days to tell them about my condition and he knew I was going to be okay, and that is why he didn't call or text, and I need to get over myself and stop ignoring Mom. I was baffled. I really just want to say EFF it to the whole lot of them. I text my mom the day I was discharged and it's been a month and still no response. I suppose I should get out of denial and understand she doesn't want me in her life.